Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we set out on an extraordinary journey into the world of European numismatics as we dive deep into the story of the Czech Republic 1 Koruna coin, a coin that might appear small and ordinary in size yet carries with it a monumental narrative of national rebirth, cultural identity, economic transformation, and the powerful symbolism of a nation standing proudly on its own after the peaceful dissolution of Czechoslovakia in 1993. And as we begin exploring this remarkable piece of currency, it becomes instantly clear that the coin is far more than just a metal disc used for purchasing small items or making everyday transactions, because the moment the Czech Republic emerged as an independent nation, it needed a currency that would both stabilize its economy and reflect its unique heritage. And the 1 Koruna coin became one of the very first ambassadors of this new national identity, carrying forward centuries of symbolism into a modern age. Starting with the iconic Czech lion that dominates the front side of the coin, a proud and historic emblem deeply rooted in the Kingdom of Bohemia, a medieval state whose legacy still echoes in Czech culture today. And this lion is not just any lion. It is a crowned, double-tailed lion, a heraldic figure that has represented strength, loyalty, bravery, and sovereignty for hundreds of years, defending the cultural soul of the Czech lands throughout periods of empire, oppression, unification, and liberation. And when you look at the details engraved on the coin, you see that the designers intentionally crafted the lion in a powerful, dynamic pose, almost as if it's leaping forward into a new era, symbolizing the momentum and determination of the Czech Republic as it entered the modern world with fresh energy. And the choice of the lion was not merely decorative. It was a deliberate artistic declaration that the Czech Republic, though newly formed, was rooted in deep historical traditions. And on the reverse side of the coin we find the large numeral 1, alongside an elegant circular pattern inspired by old Czech groschen, ancient silver coins that circulated centuries ago, tying modern Czech currency to its medieval monetary past and reminding citizens that even in times of major political transition, identity remains traceable through artistic and financial continuity. And beyond the symbolic beauty of the design, this coin also reflects the practical reality of post-1993 economic life, becoming immediately essential in day-to-day transactions, used by millions of people for small purchases, vending machines, transportation fares, and countless tiny moments of everyday life. And because of this widespread use, the coin has seen many different minting years, slight variations in strike quality, and subtle differences in shine, rim thickness, alignment, and metallic tone, creating a world of collecting opportunities for numismatists who search for scarce early strikes, high-grade uncirculated specimens, proof versions minted in limited quantities, and rare varieties that emerged due to die fatigue, misalignment, or changes in minting equipment. And even though the Czech Republic joined the European Union in 2004, it chose to keep the koruna instead of adopting the euro, which made this coin not just a piece of currency but also a symbol of national preference, self-determination, and economic independence. And because the koruna remains the official currency today, the 1 koruna coin continues to circulate widely, becoming a familiar object in pockets, wallets, shops, and cash registers across the nation. And with time it has become a nostalgic symbol for many Czech citizens who grew up handling it, making it one of the most emotionally recognizable coins in the country. And as we look at the long evolution of this coin, we see more than just metal. We see the timeline of a country's transformation, from early post-independence years full of economic adjustments, to periods of modernization, to the globalized era where Czech currency stands strong as the backbone of national financial identity. And this is precisely what makes this coin fascinating. It is a window into history, a bridge between ancient heraldry and modern democracy, a tool of trade, a piece of art, and a cherished symbol of the Czech people. And collectors around the world continue to value it not just for its monetary function but for its cultural significance, historical continuity, and the way it encapsulates the spirit of a resilient nation written in metal and carried in every hand that has ever used it. Continuing the deep journey into the world of the Washington Quarter, we now move further into the rich evolution of this iconic coin's design, production practices, artistic intentions, and the subtle transitions that shaped the quarter from a simple commemorative piece into one of the most historically layered circulating denominations in American coinage. Beginning with the years that followed its initial release, when the mint faced the challenge of turning a design meant to honor a single moment, the 200th birthday of George Washington, into a permanent standard coin that would serve both artistic and practical needs for decades to come, a process that required balancing aesthetics with the manufacturing realities of mass coinage. For the early 1930s, mint equipment was not yet optimized for the sharper relief and crisp edges sought by sculptor John Flanagan, whose original models emphasized classical depth, refined detail in the hair and bust, and a carefully structured representation of Washington based loosely on the hood-on bust. But as the government moved forward with large-scale production, engineers began lowering the relief and making small technical adjustments to ensure consistent striking quality across multiple mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, adjustments that later collectors would study with great fascination, especially since many of these subtle changes resulted in distinguishing markers that now help experts differentiate varieties between early strikes, mid-decade strikes, and transitional hub reductions. And as the quarter entered the 1940s and the country braced for global conflict, the necessity for cost efficiency and high-speed production further altered the quarter's technical profile, leading to softer edges and minor modifications to the eagle's feathers, shield shape, and the spacing of United States of America along the reverse rim. Yet despite these manufacturing-driven changes, the Washington Quarter maintained a timeless dignity that strengthened its connection to American identity during a period of national challenge, and this continuity in design played a symbolic role throughout World War II when silver was still used, even as the mint explored alternative metals for other denominations, because the Washington Quarter's role in commerce, wartime savings drives, and day-to-day trade remained so significant that any abrupt changes could have confused the public or disrupted financial consistency. And as the post-war era arrived, the 1950s saw renewed demand for high-quality coinage as the U.S. economy grew rapidly, pushing the mint to increase output while still attempting to preserve the recognizable portrait and reverse eagle design, though even then, numerous master hub reworkings subtly altered Washington's hair details, the facial contours, and the curvature of the bust, resulting in a range of minute differences from year to year that modern specialists analyze with magnification tools and photographic overlays to categorize die varieties, hub generations, and minting stages that reveal how the quarter's appearance slowly evolved long before the dramatic redesigns of the 1990s and 2000s, and by the time the early 1960s arrived, the Washington Quarter was poised for its most significant compositional change since 1932, the transition from 90% silver to clad copper-nickel, driven by the rising cost of silver and the metal shortages that stemmed from industrial expansion and global market pressures, a shift that fundamentally altered the quarter's weight, sound, durability, and long-term wear patterns, as the new clad coins exhibited a distinctive layered edge and higher resistance to surface scratching but also showed faster smoothing of fine design elements, especially on the hair curls and the eagle's chest feathers, creating an entirely new set of grading challenges that collectors still navigate today. And this moment, in 1965, marked the beginning of a new technological era for the mint, introducing new machinery, new blanking systems, and refined striking pressures that modernized coin manufacture and set the stage for the decades of experimentation and innovation that followed. And through the 1970s and 1980s, the Washington Quarter became not merely a circulating coin but a cultural marker found in vending machines, arcade cabinets, parking meters, payphones, laundromats, and nearly every corner of American public life, embedding itself into the everyday experience of millions of people, which further solidified its symbolic status as one of the most recognized and widely handled coins in the nation. And during these decades, designers, engravers, and mint technicians repeatedly updated the dies to improve metal flow, clarify lettering, sharpen the rim, and ensure consistent strikes despite enormous mintage volumes, with each update leaving behind subtle indicators like shifts in Washington's neckline crease, variations in the depth of liberty, and tiny differences in the eagle's talons or olive branches that advanced collectors now study with the same intensity once reserved for 19th-century seeded liberty varieties, demonstrating just how rich and complex the Washington Quarter's production history truly is. And as the coin approached its later years before the 1999 introduction of the 50-state quarters program, its artistic heritage, long-standing symbolism, and decades of technological evolution converged into a coin that represented not only the face of America's first president but also nearly 70 years of mint craftsmanship, engineering refinement, political decision-making, and economic history that shaped every aspect of its existence, making the Washington Quarter far more than a simple piece of metal but a living record of American change, perseverance, growth, and identity engraved into each strike that passed through millions of hands across generations. As we now move into the world of rarities, errors, and the hidden treasures buried across decades of Washington Quarter production, the story becomes even more intricate and thrilling, because while the Washington Quarter may appear simple and uniform to the casual observer, collectors know that it is a series filled with some of the most fascinating mistakes, transitional anomalies, minting quirks, and low mintage standouts ever produced by the United States Mint, beginning with the earliest silver years of the 1930s when small production runs, multiple die refinements, and inconsistent striking pressures created a wide spectrum of collectible varieties, including the prized 1932D and 1932S quarters, the two lowest mintage circulation strikes in the entire series, coins that today represent the holy grail for many collectors, with the 1932 D commanding extremely high values in high grade, especially in mint state with strong luster and minimal contact marks, and the 1932 S. Likewise sought after for its scarcity and historical importance as part of the first year of issue. These early rarities set the tone for a series filled with nuance, and the 1934 double die obverse remains one of the most famous errors, identifiable by strong doubling in the motto "In God We Trust" and the word liberty, a variety that has captured collector attention for decades, especially in higher grades where the doubling is bold and the silver surface remains bright, and as the 1940s and 1950s progressed, subtle distinctions in die hubs, shifting relief depths, and mint-level experimentation resulted in further varieties such as the 1943 S large S and small s mintmark types, the 1941 double die, and the 1950 D/S and 1950 S/D over mintmark varieties, some of which are incredibly scarce and derive from transitional mistakes where leftover dies were repunched or reused in ways not intended for circulation, creating errors that today are treasured pieces of U.S. minting history. And when the series transitioned from silver to clad coinage in 1965, a new era of errors emerged, including the famous 1965 silver transitional error quarter, a coin accidentally struck on a leftover 90% silver planchet even though the mint had switched to clad, a mistake that resulted in one of the most valuable modern U.S. coin errors, with authenticated examples selling for extremely high prices at auction due to their rarity, and the late 1960s and early 1970s also produced numerous wrong planchet and off-metal errors, including quarters struck on dime planchets, copper planchets, and even foreign planchets as the mint experimented and fine-tuned new production processes. Meanwhile, the 1970 D quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian silver quarter is one of the most exotic mint errors ever discovered. A spectacular hybrid coin with enormous value due to the dramatic combination of two completely different national mintages, and the bicentennial era brought a new wave of interest as millions of Americans saved the special 1776 to 1976 dual-dated design, yet even within this huge production, errors such as missing clad layers, double strikes, and off-center examples became highly collectible, especially the rare silver bicentennial proofs with exceptionally deep cameo finishes or unusually sharp drum details on the reverse. Moving later into the modern era, the 1990s saw increased collector attention on the 1992 close AM and wide AM varieties known primarily from the Lincoln Cent series, but conceptually similar distinctions also appear in subtle spacing differences found on modern quarters that specialists continue to study, and by the time the 1999 state quarters program began, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of quarters a year, an environment ripe for dramatic errors such as double-struck quarters, off-center strikes, fragments, feeder finger scrapes, and wrong planchet coins, including examples struck on cent planchets, nickel planchets, and occasionally pre-punched metal stock, and even within the state quarters themselves, several spectacular rarities stand out, including the 2004 D Wisconsin extra leaf varieties, both the extra leaf high and extra leaf low versions, created by an unexplained alteration in the die that added an extra leaf to the ear of corn on the reverse, a discovery that led to nationwide searching as collectors rushed to find these valuable modern rarities, and the series continued into the America the Beautiful program where the 2010 Hot Springs quarter produced one of the most dramatic modern double dies, showing clear doubling in the building details and the lettering, while other years produced missing clad layer errors, partial collar strikes, and broad-struck examples that offer collectors endless opportunities for discovery, proving that the Washington quarter, from its beginnings in 1932 through its silver years, clad redesigns, commemorative issues, and modern programs, remains one of the richest series in American coin collecting, filled with key dates, transitional pieces, over-mint marks, double dies, and accidental masterpieces that turn ordinary pocket change into hidden treasure for those who know what to look for and understand the long and complex minting history behind this legendary coin. As we continue deeper into the world of rarities, errors, and high-value discoveries connected to the Czech Republic 1 Koruna coin, the story becomes even more intriguing because although the 1 Czech Koruna coin is generally considered a low-denomination and heavily circulated piece of currency, certain minting variations, production anomalies, and transitional situations across different years have created extremely collectible pieces that most people never even realize they have, and just like many global circulating coins, the Czech 1 Koruna has its own mysterious misstrikes, metal composition surprises, die deterioration quirks, and edge-cut anomalies that turn an ordinary-looking coin into something worth far more than its tiny face value, especially when we return to the earliest years following the creation of the Czech Republic in 1993. When the new government and minting authorities were still adjusting to independent production and the shifting realities of a post-Czechoslovakia. Monetary system. These early years saw fluctuations in metal quality, planchet preparation, and die engraving consistency, which means collectors have documented a wide range of minor and major anomalies, including off-center strikes where the design is shifted heavily toward one side, leading to a crescent-shaped blank area on the opposite edge. An error that can bring significantly higher prices depending on how dramatic the off-centering is, and even more fascinating are the broadstrike errors caused when the collar does not properly hold the planchet during striking, resulting in a coin with a noticeably expanded diameter and smooth edges that make it instantly recognizable as a minting mistake. Another rare category includes double strike and triple strike specimens, coins that were struck multiple times due to mechanical timing errors, often producing overlapping images of the lion crest, the crown, or the lettering, and these pieces, especially when the secondary strike is far enough offset to show clear duplication, can command premium prices in the collector's market because such dramatic errors stand out visually and are easy to authenticate. Meanwhile, misaligned die strikes, where the obverse and reverse are not perfectly centered relative to each other, have also been recorded for the Czech 1 Koruna, and while minor alignment issues are common, the extreme cases where the rotation misalignment reaches 90 degrees, 120 degrees, or even a full 180 degrees become significantly more valuable due to their rarity and the difficulty of producing such anomalies naturally within the minting machinery. Another group of rarities comes from wrong-planchet errors, which, although uncommon in Czech coinage, do appear occasionally when a blank from another denomination or sometimes even a foreign coin blank ends up under the 1 Koruna dies, resulting in underweight or overweight pieces that can be identified by anomalous diameter, incorrect thickness, or metallic hue that does not match standard specifications, and these errors are particularly sought after because they serve as physical proof of unexpected mint contamination during production. Transitional errors, where a coin is struck using the wrong composition from either a previous or upcoming design standard, also exist for certain years during which the Czech Mint updated or modified the metallic makeup of circulating coins, and these transitional pieces are extremely fascinating to specialists, because they usually originate from small quantities of leftover or experimental blanks accidentally fed into full-scale production runs. Another highly collectible category includes die crack and die chip errors, which, while more common, become especially valuable when the cracks form noticeable shapes across the lion, the crown, the number 1, or the architectural reverse design, sometimes creating dramatic raised metal lines across the fields or forming unusual blobs that alter the look of the central device, producing varieties that collectors nickname descriptively and trade for higher prices than normal circulation strikes. Also important are coins missing the nickel-plated steel surface due to plating errors, sometimes revealing darker steel coloration or showing a two-tone effect where sections of the plating did not adhere correctly, creating coins with a visually defective but highly collectible appearance. And although the Czech Republic 1 Koruna is not widely known for ultra-high-value pieces like those in United States or British coinage, certain rare misstrikes have sold for impressive amounts at auctions across Europe, especially heavily off-center coins, multi-struck pieces, and wrong metal examples, which can sometimes fetch many thousands of Czech crowns depending on severity, condition, and collector demand, and as the modern minting era moves forward, new varieties continue to appear from time to time due to the massive quantity of 1 Koruna coins produced annually, meaning that hidden treasures still circulate unknowingly in pockets, cash drawers, and public transport change across the Czech Republic and neighboring countries, creating a continuing sense of excitement for collectors who study every detail of the 1 Czech Koruna coin with the hope of discovering the next extraordinary rarity that elevates this humble small denomination coin into a valuable and historically fascinating collectible. Continuing our deep exploration of this small yet historically rich Czech Republic 1 Koruna coin, we enter a broader world of its cultural significance, long-term evolution, economic role, and the surprising ways this modest denomination reflects major transformations in the Czech state. Starting with the reality that the 1 Koruna coin serves as one of the most widely handled and circulated coins within the nation, acting as a symbol of everyday economic life, representing both the consistency of Czech monetary policy and the durability of its minting practices over several decades, and although many people barely think about such a small value coin, historians, numismatists, and economists recognize the 1 Czech Koruna as a milestone piece that embodies the post-1993 identity and independence of the Czech Republic, because right after the peaceful dissolution of Czechoslovakia, the country needed to assert its own sovereign financial system, which included creating entirely new coinage that would separate Czech currency from its historic federation with Slovakia, meaning that the earliest years of the 1 Koruna coin are heavily intertwined with national rebirth, political reorganization, and the establishment of Prague as the central hub of the new country's monetary authority. As time passed and annual mintages increased, The 1 koruna coin became one of the most common physical reminders of Czech nationhood for both locals and international visitors, and despite its small denomination, it played a major role in facilitating everyday purchases, transport fares, vending machine usage, and retail transactions, ensuring that the new Czech koruna system gained trust and familiarity among the public. The design of the coin, particularly the crowned lion on the obverse and the symbolic architectural imagery on the reverse depending on the year, was carefully chosen to reflect national pride and cultural heritage, and the lion, long associated with the Czech lands, became one of the most recognizable national emblems on circulating currency, symbolizing strength, sovereignty, and centuries of Bohemian tradition. Meanwhile, the reverse design featuring structures like Prague Castle or the stylized crown motif served as reminders of historical continuity, artistic identity, and national craftsmanship. And the Czech mint continued to refine the coin's metallic composition to balance durability with cost efficiency, ultimately settling on a nickel-plated steel structure that combined a bright silver color with resistance to corrosion, making the 1 koruna coin capable of withstanding years of circulation. The role of the coin also extended to social and cultural traditions. Tourists often collected the 1 Czech koruna as a simple and affordable souvenir of their visit, children received them as tokens or rewards, and they frequently appeared in charity boxes, donation points, and small savings containers across the country, becoming a fundamental part of everyday financial interaction. Moreover, numismatists studying the series began identifying subtle variations such as minting inconsistencies, shifts in die quality, and annual design updates, turning even small denomination coins into valuable study pieces for those fascinated by European monetary history. And while the Czech Republic has considered eventually adopting the euro, the koruna remains deeply connected to national economic policy, and surveys consistently show strong public support for maintaining the country's independent currency, making the 1 koruna coin not just a circulating token but a symbol of economic autonomy and national preference. Over the decades, inflationary pressures, consumer habits, and technological advancements have also affected the role of the 1 koruna coin, with discussions arising about whether such a small denomination is still necessary in a rapidly digitalizing economy, yet its continued production demonstrates that the coin is still widely used and accepted, particularly in retail rounding, cash payments, and small-scale transactions, making it a functional piece of national identity rather than a relic. The global numismatic community has increasingly paid attention to Czech coinage due to its intricate designs, high minting standards, and relatively low international visibility, meaning collectors often discover the 1 Czech koruna series as an underrated segment of European modern coinage, appreciating its clarity of symbolism and the progression of minting artistry that can be traced through each change in style or engraving technique. Furthermore, the presence of commemorative and special edition koruna coins adds another layer of excitement to the series, as these pieces allow the mint to celebrate historical anniversaries, cultural milestones, or national achievements, which helps promote both national pride and numismatic interest. And while the 1 koruna coin does not often receive glamorous attention due to its small value, its importance in representing the resilience, independence, and evolving history of the Czech Republic cannot be understated. Even in international markets, collectors often find that the 1 Czech koruna sits at the intersection of accessibility and historical richness, making it an excellent entry point for beginners while still offering depth for experts who analyze mint errors, transitional compositions, and rare production quirks. The coin's longevity, widespread usage, and subtle year-to-year distinctions make it a fascinating object that connects millions of people through everyday transactions while simultaneously preserving the artistic and national heritage of a country that has navigated major political shifts, economic reforms, and cultural transformations during the decades since the dissolution of Czechoslovakia, and as the Czech mint continues refining its processes, maintaining strict quality controls, and modernizing production while preserving cultural identity, the 1 koruna coin remains a tangible piece of a nation's story, circulating quietly yet persistently through markets, hands, wallets, cash registers, and collections, linking the past with the present and ensuring that even the smallest denomination in the Czech Republic carries with it an outsized significance in history, identity, and the broader journey of European coinage. As we reach the concluding chapter of this deep exploration of the Czech Republic 1 koruna coin, we turn our focus to the rarest dates, minting errors, collector demand spikes, unexpected market trends, and the surprising global interest that continues to grow around this small denomination, beginning with the fact that although the 1 Czech koruna coin is produced in immense quantities each year, certain specific years and minting variations stand out due to low mintage numbers, die deterioration, or unintentional production anomalies that create rarity and numismatic value. And among these the most important group consists of early transitional years after the formation of the Czech Republic in 1993, when new minting equipment, new die engravings, fresh metallic standards, and the sudden demand for complete national currency sets resulted in several small inconsistencies that collectors now examine carefully under magnification, especially the faint die polishing lines, misaligned die strikes, slightly off-center strikes, over-polished relief details that make the lion's mane appear smoother than intended, or the under-detailed architectural elements on the reverse which have become indicators of early-period minting quirks. Meanwhile, the extremely popular category among collectors today is off-center strikes that reveal a visible crescent of blank planchet, with more dramatic examples commanding high premiums at auctions and online marketplaces, followed closely by broad strike errors produced when the collar fails to secure the planchet, causing the coin to expand slightly while retaining full design details. And then there are double strike errors where the coin receives a second imprint either overlapping the first or slightly rotated, making for some of the most visually striking error pieces in the entire Koruna series. Another highly sought-after group is the wrong-planchet errors, where a one Koruna design is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, leading to obvious size, weight, or coloration differences that immediately draw collector excitement, though such cases are extremely rare due to strict minting controls at the Czech Mint, and when they do appear, they often achieve notable auction prices, especially when authenticated by major grading services. Beyond outright errors, collectors also focus on weak strikes, where insufficient pressure causes the lion or crown elements to appear soft or faint, and while some may dismiss these coins as simple circulation wear, experienced numismatists can differentiate true weak strikes from worn pieces by analyzing the relief consistency, edge definition, and strike distribution. In addition, the market has shown increasing interest in pristine, uncirculated, mint-state examples from specific years where circulation has absorbed the vast majority of coins, reducing availability of high-grade survivors, and when these are discovered in hoards, old savings jars, or forgotten bank bags, collectors rush to acquire them due to their strong grading potential. Speaking of grading, one of the most game-changing developments in the one Koruna coin market is the rise of submission to major international grading services, where top-grade specimens, especially MS-66, MS-67, or, in extremely rare cases, MS-68, sell for significantly more than raw coins due to the global trust these certification slabs carry, and the fact that the Czech Koruna series is increasingly being recognized among world coin specialists has pushed demand upward, especially for early 1990s examples which were more prone to production inconsistencies. The market for complete year sets has also strengthened, particularly when collectors aim to complete every year from 1993 onward in high grades, leading to competition for the tougher dates. And with modern collectors placing strong value on eye appeal, coins with bright luster, clean surfaces, minimal contact marks, and strong strike presence often outperform those with flaws even if both share the same numerical grade. And as digital marketplaces expand globally, more international buyers have begun exploring Czech coins, discovering the one Koruna as an underrated yet fascinating series with remarkable historical transitions and surprisingly diverse minting characteristics. Meanwhile, Czech citizens themselves often remain unaware that certain small production anomalies in their everyday pocket change might actually carry collector value, resulting in occasional stories of casual finders selling rare error coins to numismatists for impressive premiums, further fueling public curiosity. And then there is the cultural phenomenon of travelers collecting the one Koruna as a gateway to learning about Czech heritage, often sparking interest in broader European monetary history, which illustrates how this small, modest coin continues to influence curiosity and appreciation far beyond its face value. And as we examine auction patterns, we see that standout pieces, especially dramatic errors or top-pop graded examples, have reached increasingly strong prices over the last decade, suggesting that the one Koruna series is entering a new stage of global recognition in the numismatic world. And so, with its combination of national symbolism, transitional-era intrigue, design evolution, economic utility, and a rich universe of collectible rarities and minting errors, the Czech Republic one Koruna coin remains a powerful reminder that even the smallest currency denomination can hold immense historical depth, artistic value, and collector excitement, evolving from a simple daily transaction piece into a sought-after treasure for those who understand its story, appreciate its complexities, and continue to search for the rarest gems hidden in ordinary circulation, making this coin one of the most fascinating modern pieces in Europe and a beloved item among collectors who recognize that a nation's identity, pride, and history can also live in the smallest fragments of metal that pass from hand to hand every day, carrying the legacy of a nation into the future, piece by piece, coin by coin, year by year, until it becomes not just a currency token but a timeless symbol of the Czech spirit and its enduring presence in the world of numismatics. And with that, we conclude this journey into the heart of the Czech 1 koruna coin, celebrating its past, present, and evolving collector future, ensuring that its legacy continues to shine brightly in the world of coins and history. And I hope you enjoyed this detailed exploration of one of Europe's most interesting modern circulating coins. Thanks for watching.